Hello everybody. Okay, so today I am going to give you a quick rundown of the settings I use in-game for League of Legends, and hopefully give you a better understanding of why I do certain things, for example the A-click, which I'm going to go over later. Now the first thing, in my opinion the most important thing actually, is I would recommend using quick cast on every ability. This might be a little bit tricky at first, might take some time to get used to, but honestly it's really worth it. This basically just allows you to use your abilities without having to use the left mouse button afterwards. So if you, for example, let's give myself a couple of levels. So if I, for example, if I Q, if I don't have quick cast enabled, I press the Q button and then have to press the left mouse button to actually Q. With quick cast, I obviously don't have to do that. I only have to press Q. This is a lot faster. The only downside is that you don't really see the range of your Q. But once you have a couple hundred Shaco games, you should obviously be familiar with that already. That shouldn't be a big problem in my opinion. That's why I would recommend using quick cast and everything, especially your main abilities, also I mean Ignite, and then the trinkets and stuff. Now, I would also recommend enabling this. It's not too useful on Shaco, but on other champions it's noticeable. If you use, for example, Irelia, and you Q a minion that is out of range still, and then you flash into range, you don't have to press Q again to Q to the minion, it will automatically Q. So that's pretty nice. Now, I don't really change much in here. Obviously use Alt Q to self-cast, or Alt E or W, whatever. This is useful on other champions, again, not really Shaco, but you can basically use abilities on yourself. For example, if you play a healing champion or a shielding champion, you can instantly use the heal or shield on yourself if you press Alt and then, you know, the ability. Same with control. This is really important. What this basically allows you to do is if you press control and then any of the abilities, it will instantly level them up. So if I press control E, I have my mouse over here, it will instantly level the ability up basically. Same with control W, obviously, as you can see, I can have my mouse over here and I don't have to actually click on this level up icon. That's really nice, honestly. Now, there's one more thing I have in here that I would recommend using. It's called target champion only. I've recently gotten used to it. What this basically allows you to do is, so sometimes, for example, if you want to dive somebody, right? This has happened to me a lot. I want to be very honest. So basically, you want to dive somebody, right? But he's hiding behind the tower and you try to click on him, but you accidentally always attack the tower. Because you just possibly can't click on him. Even if you like zoom in, you still attack the tower in accident. What you can do is, you can activate the mouse button or the button you assigned the target champion only to. You press it, and then you can't attack the tower anymore in accident. So if a champion is behind the tower here, you can click on him without focusing the tower. So that's really useful in my opinion. This is something you should definitely bind. I usually bind it to 2 keys actually, but my settings keep resetting. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, this is something you should definitely use. In terms of items, I don't really change much. Player movement, I bind player attack move click to space. Now there's 2 things you want to know. There's attack move click, which is this one, which is space. What this allows you to do is basically, so sometimes if you try to, for example, last at a minion or clear a jungle camp or something, you know how you sometimes like accidentally click behind them and don't actually hit them and then walk into the minion instead of auto-attacking it, or like walk behind the minion, or especially when kiting somebody on an AD carry, for example, and you want to like you walk back and then you attack him and you walk back and you attack him, but you accidentally click behind them or in front of them, you don't attack them, you instead walk into them, which is bad because then they can gap close to you. So what you can do is you can use left click and then spacebar, which basically is attack move, which means it only is an attack move. It basically is a walk command, but only if there's nothing to attack in range. So yeah, that's really helpful. So as soon as you press this mouse button, it will search for a champion to attack, or a minion to attack, or a monster to attack, even if you don't actually click on something. So I can demonstrate you this. If we aggro them, if I click over here where nobody is, I press the spacebar, it will instantly attack closest thing, and that's really broken, as you can see. I click over here and I don't misclick. The same thing with A, but with A I actually have to press the left mouse button afterwards. But yeah, this is really helpful if you're trying to attack something without like accidentally walking behind them. Sometimes that happens where you want to attack something but you click behind them, or for example. So yeah, that's really helpful. Now, what you should enable along with this is something called, wait, where is it? It's an interface, basically. And then I think down here, somewhere. Yeah, show attack range and show target frame on attack. Those two you should enable, because if you don't have this little circle around you, which you should definitely have. It's not useful most of the time, but it shows you auto attack range, which in certain scenarios can help. So might as well enable it, because it's not really an annoyance, if that makes sense. So rest of the hotkeys, there really isn't much to talk about. Again, space click I showed you, and then the A click I showed you. The rest, sometimes I press S to stop walking or stop attacking things. That can be useful, but usually it's not that big of a deal. Now, communication, I like to press T to quickly ping, or I hold T and then I can use the on my way, danger, enemy missing, and assist me pings. It's just what I find to be really useful and really easy to access, because pinging is a lot of the time the most important thing in the game, to, you know, ping out enemy positions and stuff, like enemy jungler. So yeah, it's just a really quick and easy way for me to use it. Menu, item shop, and practice tool, there's not really much you need to worry about. Those are pretty much all the keybinds. Now, there are what's called the F keys. What this basically allows you to do is, if you press F2, F3, F4, and F5, that's what it's bound to usually, this will allow you to basically look at your teammate's POV. So if you have camera locked onto you, right, this is what you see. If you press F2, you will have the... So imagine this is your teammate, right? You have teammate in slot number 1, then you are in slot number 2 if you play jungle, mid laner in slot number 3, AD carries in slot number 4, and support is in slot number 5. So if your top laner is slot number 1, it basically starts counting from 2, because you are always number 1, so if you press F1, it will always go to you. And then you start from top to bottom. So top laner is going to be number 2 then. So if you press F2, it will instantly lock onto your top laner's POV. So basically like this, but on your top laner, right? So if you press it, boom, you go to your top laner, and you can instantly see his POV. That's really useful, just to see how the lane is positioned, how the waves are positioned. It's a quick way to look at the lane without having to click on the minimap and then like drag it there, which I think is really important. Then obviously mid lane would be number 3, bot lane would be number 4, and support would be number 5. Yeah, so in terms of video settings, this is all, you know, your preference. I would recommend using borderless unless you really need the extra FPS that full screen can provide. Not always, obviously. Hide eye candy, I would definitely recommend turning on. This, for some reason, always turns itself back on, even though you should have it off. So I don't know. This is obviously up to you. I use it. You don't have to. This is also up to you. You can have this, you know, depending on how good your PC is. But you should definitely have effects quality on very high, because skill shots and stuff like that, for example, Xerath Q, are really hard to spot without it, honestly. So I would recommend turning this on. Or like with, the very low Xerath Q is like really hard to spot in my opinion. Maybe they fixed it, but a while ago it was impossible to see, so I have this on very high. Frame rate, you can cap this, you can have it uncapped. Again, depends on your PC. This is all, you know, up to you basically. Now, in terms of sound, again, this is up to you. If you want to copy my settings though, again, here you go. Now, in terms of interface, you should have the HUD as small as possible. This allows you to see more of the screen. Because if you have the HUD at 100%, take a look at the HUD right now, and then see how it changes at 100%. Boom! That's fucking massive. It takes up the entire fucking screen. So I would definitely recommend having this at as low as possible, and as low as you can manage, basically. Cursor scale, obviously up to you. Chat scale, up to you. Minimap scale, always 100%. This is obviously up to you. This is also up to you. And the rest in here is honestly also up to you. There's 1 or 2 things I would definitely disable, or enable rather, which is show timestamps. So you know how sometimes, for example, your top laner pings Ignite, right? Or sometimes people type out like 850 flash, ADC or something. So that's obviously nice, but if the people don't do this, then that's a problem. What show timestamps basically enables you is, if you ping Ignite, right, you can see, okay, so the Shaco ignited at 9 minutes 85 seconds, then we take 3 minutes cooldown in our head, obviously, and then add 3 to this. So that's going to be 13 minutes, basically. At 13 minutes, Shaco's going to have Ignite again. And you can obviously do this with Flash, because Flash is 5 minutes, and that just allows you to time summoners really, really easily. and that's something you should obviously be doing. The rest in here obviously is up to you. I would recommend enabling all of this. And then, yeah, those two settings. You can obviously use the legacy cursor. I actually like the new one, which I think I'm the only person. But yeah, this is all, again, preference. Alright, I hope that gave you a quick insight on my settings. Again, you don't have to copy my settings. This is just what I run. Obviously, for example, Chase, Extreme Person, and all these other Shaco mains would run something different. But this is what works for me. If you are looking for new settings to try, then definitely give this a try. If not, then yeah, I mean, don't. This is just for the people who are wondering what I run. But again, I did give tips on what you should be running, the settings like quick cast, for example, or the tag champion only, which is really important. And the rest is honestly up to you. But again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.